Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Young Jedi Adventures, Season 2, Episode 23, The Battle of Tenoo, which lived up to its title. The episode, I want to say it's for ages 6 and up, and other than the YouTube video recommendation I'm about to give, so will this video be. There will be spoilers for the show so far, possibly other Star Wars media, any that had come out when this first did air. And I'm not gonna spoil The Mandalorian Grogu, for example, the film. And yeah, another good to great episode. So, since it is Pride Month, I am trying to recommend, Pride-themed YouTube videos, and today's will be no different. It is, let's see if I can recall, because my wrists are too sore to double check, but I believe, yeah. So, Dropout slash Smarty Pants, channel, and the video is called something along the lines of Men That Lesbians Like. And this also, yeah, it's unfortunate how much this tries to erase the, sapphic parents of Nash, but I appreciate that evidently so much of the episode had already been animated that they could only really change that one line. Nash used to refer to them as her moms. Now she's saying her parents. But we still see both of them clearly, after she said parents. So if you watch this episode, it is completely clear that she does have two mothers. And I know I've said it before, but in case this is the first video you're watching, studies show there is absolutely no harm in having two moms or two dads. It's better to have two parents than only one, which is not saying that there's something wrong with, I appreciate that a lot of single mothers, for example, it's not by choice. It's because the man maybe left or maybe he died because capitalism is extremely dehumanizing and American police are very careless sometimes. Let's go with that. But yeah, it's better for there to be two parents than one, and it's better for the parents to be loving than not. And yeah, that actually does mean that a lot of children growing up with LGBTQ plus parents are much better off than ones growing up with, being raised by Christian, conservative, cishet, white people. Now, I believe that does I'm not saying all. I'm saying a certain number. Anyway, yeah, I believe that does bring us nicely to the, yeah, so what I'm getting at is it's great to normalize, you know, I love the idea that a bunch of kids watching this show will, have more empathy for if they meet someone who is, being raised by two moms or two dads. Now, the, yeah, so as usual, I'm not making any excuses for Disney. I'm just trying to appreciate the creative expression of those that they employ. Yeah, I thought it worked really well this episode as yeah, second season finale, and it's one of the ones where there is only one story for the entire episode, where most of them have two. And yeah, it kind of pays off, maybe not every, but a lot of major. Yeah, I mean, I guess that the bounty hunter, for example, didn't show up. Hypothetically, could have, but there were so many other characters. A lot of characters, good and bad, that could show up here did, and yeah, it was really cool seeing them all together. I think this was probably my favorite action of the show so far. And yeah, just there's this sense of not quite not like finality. I know there are episodes after this one, for example, but it's it feels like we've been building towards this. We've met the Gangles a bunch of times by now, and Selak keeps expressing frustration loved when Salak in this episode said, "Don't you ever stay captured?" And I guess that does pretty much cover the overarching. Yeah. So yeah, good job on fitting in a little action there at the very start, since once the pirates first land, there's not a lot of action there because the Jedi basically do have to retreat almost immediately. But yeah, the training bit was a good way to fit in a little more, something the show likes to do. And yeah, good standby. Now, yeah, so we see Salak plan it all. Love the, I want to say it's called Frog's Eye View of, yeah, right after Salak is given the speech, and that Tabor does not join. And, Tabor, he does say at the end of this episode, well, yeah, now I'm the most powerful pirate here. See, I feel like you probably could have been if you had helped Salak and then, like, betrayed, but then you might have ended up hurting Jedi, maybe, damaging the temple, and maybe you didn't want to do that. Just what it looks like to me. But yeah, so the pirates, go there, and yeah. Also, this also really felt like, once again, for the children watching, they do repeat the main message a bunch of times, including stating it right up front. But yeah, like, this was one episode where it really, really felt like it was earned, that they kept saying, Jedi never give up, never surrender, by Grabthar's hammer. And let's see, I feel like that pretty much gets us to, yeah, so they have to make the retreat, and they go to that the cave, I think it is, that they found in early, yeah, like, I'm not sure there's a single new character or location in this episode, and yeah, I think it really works. Did the season one also do the finale? I mean, I remember there was at least one episode before this that also paid off on a bunch of stuff that had happened up to it. But yeah, it's been so long. You could just check the date on the video, since I record and upload these right after watching an episode for the first time. Other than the very, very first of them. Anyway, yeah, and this thing of, like, well, we yeah, so let's see, they sit and talk, and so I may have said before, I really do appreciate seeing a Rhodian for the normies. I say as if I'm not closer to being a normie than I wish. For the normiers than I, Rhodian is the same species as Greedo. That's it. And yeah, seeing a Rhodian speaking Galactic Basic rather than the language that they do still feels a little weird to me. I wonder if it's supposed to be because they're trying to make this one more appealing, and I do really appreciate. I'm very fond of this show's efforts to try to fight back against this thing that Star Wars did for a long time, where certain races were just, or species were just good and certain were just evil, like, every time we saw them. Yeah, that's, I appreciate that in 1977 that might not have seemed as, bad, but by today's standards, it's, yeah, really something we gotta fight back against. But then at the same time, I mean, I don't know if it's that's why they do the voice like that, because they also do have Nubs speak Poobian instead of Galactic Basic, so I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so they realize about the communicator, which they more or less can be trusted with, and so yeah, this idea of, well, We can send out a message, but everyone will be able to hear it. We cannot get it to only send to Master Zia, which I quite appreciate. It turns out to be more good than bad, actually, because it ends up attracting their friends who get there much sooner than Zia, which is not a dig on Zia and Drow, obviously. They were far away. Now, they do specifically say that they got there as soon as they could. Anyway, I think that does pretty much get us to. So yeah, the message and yeah, the fact that Kai, not Wes, is the one delivering, and Kai is even like, no, it should be Wes. Nobody else thinks, you are the only one who thinks so. That was not the best impersonation, but in my defense, it's been years since I last played that game. Anyway, yeah, and it genuinely is a good speech, and the others show up for support. They can tell he's getting nervous, so and the hand holding, very sweet. And yeah, so the thing about well, did anyone hear it? We heard it. Yeah, and that was also a good bit of setup and payoff, because like we were sitting there, we were hoping that maybe they didn't hear, because like at the end of the day, if they're not monitoring for that kind of communication, then they're not going to get that, yeah, they're not going to receive it. But that does bring us to yeah, so they end up in the, yeah, in the cells, not to be confused with in cells. And yeah, the thing about, they're going to destroy the temple, and they're going to make sure that the Jedi watch. Selak will make them watch. Should I stop doing so many, like, if any 6-year-olds are watching this video, hopefully you don't understand several of the pop culture references I just made. Otherwise, you need better, more responsible parents, because you should not at all recognize that. Anyway, let's see. I mean, on the other hand, what's that line? I would say, was it Lupe Fiasco? Doesn't really matter if they have parental guidance. They understand the internet better than their parents. And yeah, so yeah, will say that once the ally ships arrived, it did feel very on your left, but it's a better on your left than Rise of Skywalkers. And let's see, yeah, it was cool seeing several of, and yeah, the reformed capitalist, the miner, the hard hat and pickaxe, not age-wise miner. And yeah, I'm not gonna call them all out. The episode does it for me, but it was very cool seeing them all show up. Honestly, watching all the ships attack the Rathtar's Revenge really made me want to replay one of the early to mid 2000s Star Wars Battlefront games. Yes, reviews will come at some point. It might be a while. Anyway, yes, and the thing about Nash's ship is like, wait, Nash is right here though. It's, who's flying it, and it's her mom's, and that was also really cool. I think it is a good thing when every so often, I'm not saying always, in these kinds of stories where it's mostly kids solving problems absent their parents, if every so often the parents get to do something important as well. And let's see that, yeah, so they end up freed, and they go to the temple, and let's see, Wes is dealing with the Rathtar's Revenge and other. Yeah, it was really great seeing the pirate bot, Pybot, again. And let's see, I guess that does bring us nicely to the yeah. So they go into the temple, and we have the thing about all the charges being set, and very clever to have a bunch of the younglings and such disarm these. That sounds terrible. Sometimes I need to think before I speak. Um, Obviously, I'm really glad. See, this is the kind of thing where I'm glad it's live. It's not live action because I think in live action that would have been really, really scary. But yeah, let's see. I guess that does. Yeah, and I got genuinely engaged with the thing of I think Joda Toe is his name, trying to keep away with his lightsaber collection. And let's see. I guess that pretty much. So yeah, by the end of the inside the temple interior scene, Salak says that there are other ways to skin a temple, and the yeah, unfortunately, I mean, if I had to guess, maybe one of the writers just like enjoyed a claw machine and felt like writing it in. But it's probably in part also there because like a bunch of kids are gonna do the Leo pointing at the TV meme at it. But I really appreciate it. Like I think they pushed it as far as they could on a show for 6-year-olds. But yeah, I sat there genuinely thinking, are they actually gonna destroy the temple? I'm trying to like think of. I guess maybe season 3 is just not on Tenoo, but it was quite the relief when they did, shoot the wires. But the fact that they spent several seconds with us genuinely thinking that this is it for the temple, and that was also very nicely done because like I hadn't even really thought about it before this episode, but yeah, I am kind of emotionally attached to that temple. It just yeah, and I mean as soon as the it was in danger. I was sitting there thinking, but all this knowledge that's inside, and because like at this point, I think all the younglings have already left for the outside, if I recall correctly. I wasn't thinking that a living being would be harmed by it, but the loss of knowledge is still. But yeah, I guess that pretty much covers. Let's see. So the hmm. I feel like there's one more thing but yeah, it was great when Tabor showed up and helped take out the Rathtar's revenge, and they made it absolutely clear they might not be able to do it if they don't have just a tiny bit more help, but then in comes Tabor. Here he comes to save the day, and yeah, we the redemption arc is still baby steps, but we're getting there, and I think that does pretty much cover the let's see. Yeah. Um I think that is everything. Yeah. So yeah, I was very relieved that you know, they did manage to stop the temple from, you know, I mean, a lot of us would say be destroyed, but I don't know. Maybe we can make the following bit of slang happen. White House renovated.